Okay. Welcome to the school committee meeting of May 14th, 2024. This hybrid meeting is being recorded and may be accessed by WebEx. The meeting link is on the calendar at burlington.org. Would you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Approval of the minutes of 4:30. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Is there anyone opposed? It's unanimous. Public participation, there's no one here. Is there someone online? No? Okay. Information and reports, student report. Do you want to do your student report and cover the DECA all in one?
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Perfect. So hi. First off, over the past 2 weeks, we had Shrek the Musical performance 2 weekends. It was amazing. I went to go see it. Great job to the cast and crew for putting on a good show. The spring season for sports is heading to a close, and many BHS sports are pretty much going to be in the MIAA tournament once again, which is going to be very nice. Hope to see a few deep tournament runs. It is currently the second AP exam week, so some students have been trying really hard and taking a lot of exams. I know a bunch of my friends were in BHS until 5 p.m. today taking a physics exam, so props to them, props to everyone taking exams. Prom was held last week, which was really nice, great dance, and it's kicking off kind of like the end of the senior year activities. There's going to be the scholarship night, the athletic banquet, and senior field night, which all leads up to graduation, which is June 2nd at 2 p.m. And then moving on to more of the DECA ICDC results, BHS had returned from a 6-day trip in Anaheim. They had 12 students go, and they wanted to highlight their 12 students' achievements. Andrew Pearl was an international finalist. He's a senior at BHS, and he finished 4th overall in, everything. His qualification was through the stock market gains, so he had essentially started off with a pool of money and was able to invest it, and he did over by 97%, so nearly doubling all of his money within, I think it's like a 3-month time. So
should go for him.
Yeah, he could be a lot of help for everyone. And then we had Alex Murray, who received a finalist medal for the best role play in hotel and lodging, which is just like a little role play between a judge and a student. Robbie Geswell received a medal for the top 10 test score in his hospitality cluster exam. Ryan Latchford and Ellery Schwabel presented and earned Devil's Den School Store a gold level recertification, which is really, really good. Madeline Belli, Rohan Dutta, and Charles Desmond all earned the silver competency certificate for their scores across the board, which is a really high praise again. Perry Afshar graduated from the Aspire Academy. Nathan Previtt graduated from the Elevate Academy, and Michael Abbott and Damon Walker graduated from the Thrive Academy. And these are all leadership activities that will get them prepped for college and the club level organization. Robbie, Perry, Alex, Andrew, and Charles are all seniors and who have given DECA their all for the past 4 years. And the advisors just wanted to, shout them out and congratulate them. That's all I have personally.
Madam Chair, can Matt continue?
Yes.
Oh, perfect.
I want you to announce the Seal of Biliteracy winners.
Oh, yes.
Go ahead.
So the Seal of Biliteracy test was distributed, I think, in early April, and sorry, and all the students. Sorry. And all the students who took the exam and passed were given a award and a Seal of Biliteracy or distinction. We had Chita An in Cambodian, Gemma Arno in Italian, Nathaniel Chow in Latin, Giovanna de Silva with Portuguese, Charles Desmond with Latin, Jenna Dickey with Spanish, Jonas Isaias with Spanish, Henry Estes with Spanish, Luke Flanagan Latin with distinction, Sydney Gilio with Spanish, Angelina Gonzalez with Spanish, Julia Griffin with Latin, Colin Irwin, Latin with distinction, Hamlindo Nobuena with Spanish, Esther Ma in Chinese, Keisha Malo in Spanish, Andrea Mayes Ramirez in Spanish, Vivan Pandey in Latin, Aditya Patak in Spanish, Jorge Pereira in Portuguese with distinction, Thomas Peters in Latin, Yehinde Ramordi Flores in Spanish, Julia Souza in Spanish, and Vincent Zermani in Spanish. So congrats to all of them, and I think they get a special seal at graduation, or an extra tassel.
They have an extra cord.
There we go.
That's a lot.
Does the committee have any questions about what the Seal of Biliteracy is?
I understand what it is. We offer Chinese and Portuguese, or these are folks that are coming in with that language? Okay.
Yes. So,
Tell us about it.
go ahead.
Essentially, the Seal of Biliteracy test is handed out to usually seniors, but anybody who is proficient in a language at a writing, reading, translating, and speaking level. So it's like a 4-part exam for most languages except for Latin, because we don't really speak in Latin. But the students were given like a 4-hour time limit, and they had to go through each section. And if you passed 3 of the 4 sections, or you passed 4 sections, you got the seal. And if you passed them all with like high scores, you got the distinction. So I know my friend Esther Ma, who was given the seal in Chinese. She just took it on her own time because she speaks it at home. So students had a lot of choice.
That's awesome. I wish I could do that.
Madam Chair, I think this may be Matt's last school committee
Did you
meeting.
get a cake or anything?
We did not get a cake.
I got a
This-
water bottle
This is
this
his,
time.
this is Matt's second year with us. And Matt, when are you selecting, no one will be able to replace you, but the person who will be sitting in your seat?
I think that the student government just actually like earlier this week ran a like runoff election to see who's going to replace me. So I will contact with results, but they'll be good enough. Trust. I'll make sure. I'll make sure.
All right, so obviously.
We want the best.
From the superintendent's seat, Matt, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much. You've added tremendously to our conversations. I think the student perspective is really important in giving the committee and myself sort of a glimpse into the impact of some of the conversations we have here from the student perspective will, again, I think remains to be something that's really important for me. And so thank you. And congratulations on your future plans, and please come back and visit us.
I definitely will. Thank you for all being very nice and welcoming, especially when I came in beginning of junior year not knowing what to do. You guys were all very welcoming and very like easy to go, and I don't know, I like coming here every Tuesday just to talk about that student engagement. So thanks again.
Any comments?
Yeah. I just want to say I really appreciate your commitment to coming because I know you're very busy and have a lot going on, and it was definitely appreciated to see you in person as much as you were here. And I enjoyed all of your presentations. You know, you're always so positive and have a lot to say, and I appreciate what you brought to the table. So thank you so much. And good luck.
Matt, I want to thank you for your time and your commitment to the committee. They're big shoes to fill, for sure. I haven't always been in the seat while I've been watching you. I have seen you, over the years, and you've grown and you've matured, and you did an amazing job from day one. So I know that you're going to do great things in the future. Best of luck to you.
Yep, I echo what everyone else said. You've done a great job. Thank you. We appreciate you, and really good luck next year.
Thank you.
Matt, thanks. I appreciate your leadership. It's not easy to come up here every other Tuesday and speak on behalf of the entire student body. So I appreciate the effort and really enjoyed your briefings as well.
Thank you.
And Matt, I might just see you around the neighborhood since you live
Yeah, right down
where
the
you
street.
live.
Yeah.
Not near me,
Yeah.
right
Family.
where my daughter lives. Yeah, and you've been awesome. You've been like, I hope the others aren't listening, but my favorite.
They should be listening. They should be listening.
Thanks for everything you've done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's like a farewell.
Sorry about the
I'll be back. I'll be back sometime. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Don't forget your
Don't
water.
forget your water, yeah.
Your
That's the
water?
water that I finally got this time. Thanks again.
Bye, Matt.
Bye.
Any subcommittee, what? Any subcommittee reports? Go ahead.
Yeah. So, happy to report, Recreation Commission started summer signups. They're at 94% capacity at this point. All programs are full. Waitlists are open and opening to other towns on the 22nd, so there'll be limited availability. The Land and Water Conservation Grant has been pushed to November. We made it through the state level, waiting on the federal approval. That would help offset the funding for Overlook Park. And do you want to cover response for Mr. Young now, or do you want to do that later?
No, go
From the last
ahead.
meeting? Yeah, so I had a chance to speak with Brendan Egan. Basically, the synopsis I gave at the last meeting is accurate. It is a resource challenge with labor to clean up more frequently. They are looking at ways to improve that, and then I'd like to still continue to explore with the Conservation Club here in school, and then do some outreach to some of the athletic teams and see if we can kind of affect the culture change, just in the building too.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other subcommittee reports? Melissa?
This either falls under announcements or transportation
Sure.
committee, but sure. So we did the townwide walk, bike, and roll to school was May 2nd. We had a really great turnout at Fox Hill, where I was. We had Dom, the school resource officer. We had Officer Bascaroon, the traffic officer, and we had the crossing guard tries to count, but we had at least 250 to 300 kids walking, and we counted cars this year, and our normal car day is about between 60 and 90, and we had only 30. So that was a big win. I believe Memorial did it. I tried to reach out. I don't have the confirmation, but I believe Memorial also did it. Again, if all our schools in town are eligible to do it. If any of the PTOs, our PTO is picking it up. If any of the PTOs or parents or teachers want to pick it up, absolutely feel free to reach out to us. This is all part of our Safe Routes to School commitment that we can use towards grant funding in the future, sidewalks, etc. I was speaking with Officer Bascaroon after, and Safe Routes had reached out to Dom about a bike rodeo. They've reached out to our health team about some curriculum opportunities. So the more we interact with Safe Routes to School, the more grant opportunities could come our way.
Great, thank you. Any other subcommittee reports?
Madam Chair, I'm meeting with all of the PTOs. I usually do that once a year. That's upcoming. Ms. Masordo, I will certainly mention that. You'll be there? So, okay, so we can talk about this. That'd be great.
Actually, can I have one thing? I just want to add something. So a previous grant that we applied for, the school committee applied for through Safe Routes to School, was to get 2 traffic lights. And so those were just installed by the DPW this week. So they're over in front of Memorial and Marshall Simons. There's one on each side of Wynn Street.
Good.
So they're actually in the base and installed. They still have to do some programming. So these are all solar powered and they are programmable. So they're not functioning yet, but they are installed. So that's positive. So hopefully pretty soon, in the next couple of days or a week, we should have those up and running. The intent on those is during arrival and dismissal, we can actually have flash and blinking lights and a speed sign that would say slow down or 20 miles per hour during the school times. So hopefully they're going to provide a lot of safety for the town. And again, that was a grant, so those were free from the state and through the Safe Routes to School grant.
Excellent.
I have a question about Safe Routes to School. Is this a PTO-sponsored thing or a school committee-sponsored program?
So our school committee signed a participation agreement, so our district is a partner with Safe Routes to School. They offer a wide range of programming, so the PTOs can pick up, like our PTOs happen to pick up the walk, bike, and roll to school. You pretty much just need 1 or 2 parents at the school to organize it and kind of communicate about it. But the health department chair is picking up some of the health curriculum to bring it down to like phys ed. Like I said, the police are also a partner through the school, so they do the safety town, and there's an opportunity to add like a bike rodeo for older kids. And the health curriculum is pedestrian safety, bike safety, all that stuff. There's more programming. They're just recently added high school programming, so additional, I think there's like carpooling safety, things like that. So there's many different ways to engage with the program. So far, it's been slightly grassroots, so the Memorial PTO, I picked it up, Fox Hill PTO, I picked it up. We also did, the first year we did arrival dismissal audits at the middle school and Memorial and at Fox Hill. Again, you really kind of just need some parents or teachers to organize those. So we have a liaison, so if there's an administrator, principal, or a parent that's interested in adding the program to a specific school, the district is a partner, so we can pull in any of the resources. I expect we'll see some of that curriculum in the fall. We're required by state law to do like a bus evacuation drills in the fall, so we're going to try and incorporate some of the pedestrian safety at the same time. But some more to come, but if there's parents, PTOs that are interested, they can reach out to me, and we do have a Safe Route to School manager that works with Burlington.
So, through the chair, I'm sorry, so are parents driving this program at each elementary school, or is this something that's supported by the principal, and it's a district-wide program? I feel like we as a school committee should be supporting each elementary school in providing this service to create a little equity across the district. I'm trying to understand whether or not it's a PTO or a school committee project.
So each project is probably supported by different groups, right? So the curriculum is supported by the health director for the whole district. The walk, bike, and rolls are currently supported by parents at the school. So it depends on each individual program.
Madam Chair, to Mr. Butch, I also think Ms. Massardo is selling herself a little short. I think that it is a district connection to Safe Routes to School. It's a state program, so the school committee has to sign on. And I do think the efforts at Fox Hill have been largely championed by Ms. Massardo, so that's been great. And I do think having that connection to the PTO and parents would be important. And I think it's a matter of communication, honestly, and we just need to get to those groups, and I think the programs are great. So wherever the programs connect to a school, if it's through curriculum, then it's going through sort of the curriculum office. If it's through road signs or transportation, sort of Bob is involved. If it's a student activity at a school, then we really have allowed the schools to do that locally. But I would say the communication hasn't been equitable, as you stated, and again, I think Melissa's efforts have really set sort of the Fox Hill participation apart. So thank you for doing that, and I do think we can, again, it can be a topic of discussion when we have our joint PTO meeting.
Great, Catherine.
No, I was going to say that I believe that the whole program was because of the Transportation Committee, and it got presented, and then we all bought into it. And I can say that at some of the transportation meetings we've had, it's, Melissa, again, you've done a great job with Fox Hill. It's been difficult, even at some of the Transportation Committee meetings, trying to get parents and people to participate and take ownership of it to help it be distributed equally across all the schools. So it's a challenge to get someone to volunteer, like it is to get anyone to volunteer. So again, I think it'd be great if, again, you could bring it up at the PTO meetings and have, the face of Melissa there to sell it and hopefully get other people to buy in.
Thank you for bringing it and supporting it at Fox Hill.
Any other subcommittee reports? No. Ways and Means? Is there anyone for Ways and Means? No. Other announcements? Any other announcements? Eric?
No, Madam Chair, I just wanted to thank town meeting for supporting our operating budget and our capital warrants. We are largely through them, and I think especially a special thank you does need to go to Ways and Means and the Ways and Means Education Subcommittee. I think they spend a lot of time with our budget. Nicole's office puts a tremendous amount of time into the detail, and they spend a lot of time going through the detail. And I think a lot of their questions are asked and answered ahead of time, and that makes a big difference for us. So again, ultimately thank town meeting for supporting our fiscal 25 budget and capital warrants, and all of the people who put in a lot of time to prepare town meeting for that vote. So again, Steve Warren, who's here, again, all those folks are critical to us having some success at town meeting.
And I'm sure that I can speak for the committee when I say thank you to town meeting for putting our budget through without a single question and for passing all of our warrant articles to date. It was a good night.
Did you really say without a single question? Did you really say without a single question? There were lots of questions last week.
No, the operating budget.
All right.
The operating budget only.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, the next item, I added to this meeting with Eric and Mary Ann this morning, and I'd like to speak briefly before introducing it. Last night, we had a meeting. It was not an emergency meeting, as someone called it, and it was not a last-minute meeting. It was scheduled weeks ago because it's standard, and we do it almost every year, that we have a short meeting just before town meeting. Just before town meeting begins, the first night, we have a short meeting in case we need to adjust any of our requests, warrant articles, budget. It's just safer to have that meeting. So it was scheduled quite a while ago. It was not new. I added this item to the agenda because before last night, I did not hear from any parents, not a single one, not even my own children, about the Fields project. But after we took the vote last night, all of a sudden, I heard from a whole lot of them. So, in deference to their input, I would like to ask Melissa and Jeremy if they still want to bring this article to town meeting. Is that still your desire?
Yes.
Melissa? Okay. So, if they feel strongly that they want to bring this article to town meeting, despite the input from Ways and Means and Capital Budget, I'm willing to accept a motion to rescind last night's vote, and then I will have more discussion after that, if there is such a motion.
Okay, I'll make a motion to rescind the vote we took last night to postpone the presentation of the project to town meeting for the purpose of discussion.
Would either of you like to second it?
Sure, second.
Okay. I went again today to look at the fields, and they were a little drier than the last time. The field in the back, a few weeks ago, everything was pretty wet. I think that the front field looks great. I think we'd be jumping the gun if we were to try to do anything in the front field, but that's my opinion. The back field looks like it did when my kids were in school a very long time ago. This project was supposed to be a joint project with Recreation, and I think Recreation has a lot on their plate, and the Overlook project, I think, is maybe their top priority because there's possibility of grant money. So I wanted to give everyone a chance to explain how they feel about this and see if the vote to rescind passes or fails. So would anyone like to talk about it? Catherine?
So I did, again, last night, I listened to what everyone had to say. In the presentation that Dr. Conti said when he was asking us to postpone the presentation of the project. Again, the way I understood it is that Ways and Means definitely thought it was a great project and really good project, but they didn't have enough information to pass a supportive vote. That they wanted to see the result of the comprehensive park and field study that's being done for the master plan for the recreation department, and didn't want to have competing projects with the rec department. Ways and Means is looking at, obviously the current projects that are on our plate, like Fox Hill and the police station, and the town will need to fund them. And it makes sense to take the results of this school committee field study and that we did a couple of years ago, and get the results of the study that's being done for the rec department, so that we can prioritize the fields based on these studies, both of the studies. And then the town, needs to figure out how they're going to fund this based on what, we all feel is a priority when we have all the information. I also did additional research and found out that capital budget also did not support this project. They voted 1 in favor and 4 against. So it wasn't only Ways and Means, it was also capital budgeting. So, just from my perspective, it makes sense to give, like we were saying last night, to give the town a heads up, the project's coming. But I also feel very strongly that, we need to get the result of the rec department study so that, we can present town meeting, have them fully educated so that we can figure out how we're going to fund this and what makes sense. So that's where I stand.
Anyone else have a comment, discussion? Jeremy, go ahead.
Rec Commission did vote unanimously in favor to support Brendan's stance is that he can't say it's his number one priority, but it is a top priority, and I expressed that. Again, to your point, Catherine, without having all the fields, he can't say it's his number one priority. However, common space, the thing he can't say is, yes, this is a project that's important because we have to get the field studies moving. Jeez, I lost my train of thought here. So, getting the fields moving, and then now we've just created the logjam that we're trying to avoid because the recreation study doesn't come in until November, and we'll be right back at the same place again in spring to get into May warrant articles. So now we will have competing projects, or someone's going to have to take a knee and decide their project's not as important. Again, I think that can be overcome with some cooperation between the schools and the Recreation Commission, which I'm certainly helping to try foster as my role as a rec commissioner. I think we need to do as a district a little better job of communicating with them. So I'm certainly going to work on that as well. And again, I think we missed a really good opportunity to understand what it would take to get this through, because we had all the appropriate stakeholders in the room last night to give their input, have the dialogue, so the various capital budget ways and so forth could say, hey, these are reasons why we didn't do it. Town meeting can say, these are thresholds we need to meet and why we want to do it. And that's how we come to an understanding in the middle and figure out how we can get this thing done. So again, I think we missed a really good opportunity, and by rescinding this vote, it's largely ceremonial and does really nothing for us to help inform us to make a better decision on how to get this approved and passed through. So, I think we're doing a bit of showmanship here, and I really think we just should have pushed it through last night again.
Jeremy, let me correct you on that. The article has not yet come up. We did not have an opportunity to present it last night. It is still on the warrant. It has not yet come up. It has not been withdrawn. It has not been postponed. It will come up on the warrant. We do have the opportunity to rescind the vote and go forward.
Acknowledge, and per the budgeting cycle, we've missed the opportunity when we do the large majority of this work. So now we're doing an out-of-cycle funding request, which adds an additional challenge because we won't have clarity on funds mid-cycle.
I don't understand. Would you explain
She's
that?
going to bring it tomorrow.
Okay, so we are doing it tomorrow.
Well, if we will.
Okay. Fair.
So it just hasn't happened yet. Our vote last night we didn't need because we didn't get to it, right?
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
So who else wants to speak? Melissa?
I just want to say what I said before, and then again, I think all we're doing is bringing it up. Rescinding, it failing are the exact same, put us in the exact same place. So I think we owe an opportunity for town meeting to vote on this. We voted 5-0 to put it on the warrant in the first place. I think we all agree it's something to support. I heard Dr. Purchase mention today that this is the #1 priority for the middle school because it includes accessibility for the middle school students. So I think it's important to put out there, win, lose, or draw. I really just want it on the warrant, and rescinding it doesn't help us in any real way. So putting it out there, I think, is the best option for everyone to be able to discuss it.
Yeah.
So I, as a former town meeting member, I have a hard time bringing this to town meeting because, for many reasons. One of them is that I've heard from town meeting members over and over again that when we do these field projects, we fund these feasibility studies for fields and other things, we get the results and we just ignore them. We don't do anything with them. Capital budget has said this for many, many years. They say, okay, why are we spending this money to study these things and then just ignore them and do whatever we want to do? So as a town meeting member, I think we're going to hear that tomorrow because we don't have both studies together. I struggle to bring this project to town meeting because it's a $6.7 million project that we're going to have to bond that's going to raise taxes for a lot of people. It's not out of free cash. If this was a free cash project, I would be in full support of it. I am in full support of this project as a free cash project. I'm confident that the recommendation from Ways and Means Capital Budget would have been favorable, but they're looking at the police station, they're looking at Fox Hill, they know that we're in the feasibility process for the high school, and there's a lot of talk during the election cycle that the Ways and Means Committee is not, because of a lack of foresight, is guiding us in the right direction. And here they are giving us the foresight, giving us the direction, giving us the instruction, and we're deciding that it's just not what we want to hear. So we're moving forward, and to me that's hard, especially hearing for the years that I've been on town meeting that this isn't what they want. They want us to bring responsible projects forward, and I just don't think that as funded now, it's the right thing to do. I'm excited for this project when it is the right time, and hopefully next May. So my vote will not change.
Sure. If I may rebut. So again, all valid points. Ms. Nowacek, I would disagree slightly because, again, the way a representative government works, in my opinion, is a meaningful discourse is needed and sometimes warranted because, again, we don't know how to fund this project, so I think that is a good discussion to have. Again, I know we're going against odds. I also have a challenge sometimes when there's $17 million of free cash available saying we can't fund an effort. So again, that's neither here nor there. I don't believe it does a disservice to any of the committee's hard work or any other boards. We're not saying we don't like your input or we don't take your input or we don't accept your input. Again, I would like to use this as a way to gather input from the stakeholders, the relevant stakeholders that are going to make this happen and understand where we fell short. Because again, this is a learning process. You learn from failing sometimes, and I feel like this is a great opportunity to do that. And to the last point, again, the field study was funded, I believe, 2 years ago, excuse me. And I, for one, have a bias for action when it comes to this because I've heard the same things as I was coming on the school committee, like, hey, we fund these things, nothing happens. So if we don't put these forward, it shows that we are falling into the same trend of inaction, and I, for one, am not comfortable doing that. So,
through the chair, I feel like once we have both together, then it'll be the right time to move forward. And I have a hard time thinking, okay, we're going to get this other field study, and there might be something that we're missing, and I don't want to have us fund this project and then say, oh, if only we waited a couple more months, we would have known we could have done this, and we would have bid them together and saved money, and that would be the more fiscally responsible thing, in my opinion. I do want to thank you and the Rec Commission for all of your hard work. This is an amazing project. I'm really excited about it. I was a varsity athlete. I think it'll be a beautiful thing when it's the right time. I'm just struggling with it, in that way, and I think that we should be respectful of the work of the Ways and Means Committee and Capital Budget too. They've done a lot of hard work, and they always want to work with us too, and I appreciate that, and find a way to fund the project. And this time they're saying, we really don't think it's the right time. So, and I'd like to thank the administration too for being generous and working with us as often and as well as they have. So,
Catherine.
I was going to say, I do agree with you that I would like to have and hear that dialogue from town, but I feel like because they don't have all the facts, then we're not having a full discussion because we don't have the rec department, the feedback from that field study that they're doing. So I feel like they should have everything in their hand if we're going to discuss it. So by postponing our presentation to town meeting, I feel like as if they take a vote on it and they say no, what's the probability that they're going to want to say yes the next time we present it? I mean, why not give them everything up front so they can make a fully educated decision with all the facts in front of them than giving them partial, or, maybe we have 95% or 90% or 70% of the information. So again, I'm not disagreeing with you about the open discussion, but I feel like we need to wait till we have all the facts so that they can hear everything and make an educated decision. And putting it off a little longer, maybe is better for us, because it does give Ways and Means more time to figure out how we're funding it. I think they've allotted some of that free cash money to other projects too. So, again, they're the ones who are living and breathing the finances, and we're all listening in from the side and trying to take their advice. And so again, it's, like I said, don't totally disagree with what you guys are saying, but I just feel like the timing's off.
Eric, do you want to say anything before I move?
No, the only, again, one thing is I'm appreciating the conversation. I'm appreciating that you all are working together. That's a good thing. What I don't want anyone to misunderstand is the administration and the district's support for this project. I think some people confused my recommendation with lack of support, and staff has worked 2 years on this project. We are 100% behind it. This is our first priority in terms of a field report after the Francis Wyman, after the baseball field. We are 100% in. So I just want to make sure that that's sort of clear. Whatever you decide, I think is important. And Ms. Massardo, I like your framing of this, that there's really no difference between a failed vote and a delay of a vote. Maybe we get more information. So again, I think we're all saying the same thing. We all want the same outcome, is what I just want to stress to people, because someone sort of came to me and said, why aren't you supporting the project? And that's not, we are 100% behind this project, is all I wanted to say.
I guess I'll just say my last comment is I just feel like this clouds the vote, because now we've flip-flopped back and forth, so it does appear that we're very conflicted about it after we all sat here and voted 5-0 to support. So again, it is what it is, and we'll take the vote and see where it falls out.
Okay, so here's my position. I don't like the fact that the committee isn't working together. It bothers me, frankly. So my concern is money. My concern is totally financial. I totally support the field projects. I support the field project. I support the field project. Over and over, I support it. It's great. I want it. I'm worried about Fox Hill. I'm not really worried about the police station. I think that's covered. I think that's going to sail through first thing tomorrow night. I'm worried about Fox Hill. So there are a couple of things that if we were to go forward with this, that could be done on town meeting floor. One is that we could ask a town meeting member to amend the motion to make it free cash instead of bonded. Doesn't mean it would pass, but we could go that route. We could ask for the project to be broken up and possibly get part of it passed, maybe the back field and not the front field, or something along those lines. But I think my real question is, of the two people that really feel this should go forward now, are you willing to be proactive on town meeting floor to discuss it and talk about it and encourage people to vote for it?
I mean, I think I've demonstrated at this point that I'm willing to do that at any turn, right?
Okay.
Again, and I share your concern with Fox Hill. I'm not saying I don't. But again, it goes back to the bias for action that I spoke of, and we need to have this conversation, and all the right stakeholders are in the room, and there's very few opportunities to have those people in the room together with a captive audience to have that discussion. And again, I know it's more than a long shot. I understand that, and I go in there fully knowing that. But again, if we don't gather this information, I think we continue to fall short, and then we find ourselves 3 or 4 years down the road trying to scratch our heads and figure out how we get there from here, and I just would prefer not to do that.
Melissa, are you willing to, speak in favor of it at town
course,
meeting?
yeah.
Okay. Dr. Conti, I'm going to vote yes to rescind this motion, but I have a request. I know you're probably not real happy with this, but...
It's fine. It's not my,
fine.
again, I want the project.
Okay. I want the opportunity to explain myself after the Ways and Means gives their vote and after capital budget gives their vote. I want the opportunity to explain the situation with the school committee vote so that it's not like Jeremy said, we're already putting ourselves behind the 8 ball. And I would like opportunities for both Melissa and Jeremy to speak in favor of the project during the presentation.
Are you asking me to give up the microphone?
Yes. I know that's very difficult for you,
I will
but
not
yes.
hold it like you guys did, but I'll hold it.
No, you'll take it out. You'll take it out of the.
Again, Madam Chair, I work at the pleasure of the committee, so that's
Okay, so that we got that covered.
Not an
That's
issue at all,
covered.
obviously.
All right, I'm going to put the motion to rescind last night's vote.
It's out.
Sorry.
Huh?
I say.
Yeah, no, I'm going to put it to a vote.
Okay.
All those in favor of rescinding last night's vote to postpone, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed to rescinding last night's vote, please say no.
No.
Okay, we have a 3-2 vote to rescind last night's vote, and the project will be presented to town meeting when it comes up on the warrant. Does anyone know where it is on the warrant? I have no idea.
25. Article 25.
And what did we finish last night?
7.
7-20.
No, 7 was the last one. The police station's next.
Okay, and
So we need to get to
we're all the way to 25 before this comes
So
up.
maybe next Monday.
Okay. All right, that's done. Moving on. We did DECA. Journey to CARES update, Lisa.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. All right. There's a lot of wonderful stuff going on in this district, and I'm so grateful to be a part of this with many members of my team. All right, as we go to get set up and go to the first picture. Again, I'll highlight this in the report later, but again, this is the drone competition. Members of our own students attending the IDEAS conference, the work with Joyce Delianis with Burlington Kind. Next, please. You see here, again, some of the teacher diversification grant project that we worked on, a bit of collaboration with our evaluation instruments with Dr. Bill Lapini. You have Dr. Gail Lovett, who is in your left-hand corner, observing a lot of our classrooms throughout the district. Next, please. At Pine Glen, you have Let's Go Bananas with the staff. I totally love it that they're all dressed up as bananas. You have the beautiful one eyebrow turtle that's part of Francis Wyman Art Show. You have a woman here from Support Ed providing us with a review on our newcomers and our L program. Next, please. We see Dr. Conti and Christine Ciccolini, who have really inspired all of us, and thank you to Kristen DeMarco as well too for the Special Olympics. And it was really great also seeing both members of our members of our school committee. Thank you for your participation. And here below on a Saturday, this is so exciting. We have students engaged in math in the Math Olympia, and of course, in the right-hand corner, our wonderful seniors attending prom. Next, please. Again, pictures of our students. We had about 6 teams from six teams from our 4 elementary schools participate in this math competition on Saturday. Here we have an author reading to a group of students. Next, please. our LPAC organization, hosting a wonderful meeting with our parents. Their Climbing the Ropes course are some members from our Simon Youth Academy. Next, please. Again, May is known as Kindness Month. Again, we partnered with Help Us here. Students looking at the reservoir, for instance, the reservoir, and an amazing Eagle Scout talking about his project there. Next, please. This is the Director of Family and Community Engagement. She's gone on a bus ride to look at where all our students are living. And this is the Bionic Race, in which members of MSMS participated in. Okay, so let's get into the details. The instructional team attended the computer science night in the BHS cafeteria. We also attended the unified basketball game, observed classroom with literacy consultant Gail Lovett, and has assisted in organizing and planning the L Summer Program with Director of English Learner Education. Next, please. A group of us attended the Ideas Conference in Bentley University with staff and administrators, and this was on a Saturday. We've attended screening committee meetings and interviewed with committee members for the DEI instructional coach position for the high school. We attended a middle school faculty meeting with Superintendent Conti to solicit input on the values for middle school principal and the values of just middle school that they're looking for. Excuse me, the values of a middle school and what makes MSMS a middle school. Dr. Conti and I met with the MSMS equity team. President of the union was there. A consultant from the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education and the MSMS administration team to talk about the planning of Memorial Day and Pride Day events hosted by students. Next, please. Again, hosted the Help Us organization on VCAT with the Director of Mental Health regarding our planning and the activities involved in Kindness Month. Planned with MAP consultant Kateri Thunder on professional development for the following school year. And attended the spring concert at Memorial Elementary School, Francis Wyman Art and Music Night, and Pine Glen Art Show, and met with the elementary principals with Superintendent Conti to discuss the elementary schedules. Next, please. Met with Dr. John Almerode in planning the Tier 1 professional development in 2024 and 2025. And again, want to thank the town's folks, also town members, and also the school committee in assisting us with passing that warrant article to assist us in all this professional development that's going to be undergoing in the next 3 years. That will give us a lot of good material to come out and longevity with regards to our curriculum instruction and assessment. Met with the lead math coach, interim literacy coach, and director of special education to discuss what our MTSS model and our child study process looks like. Attended the webinar on the new Title IX regulations that are to be implemented by August 1st. And met with Support Ed, as you saw early in the picture, with the Director of English Learner Education regarding the review on our L programs, in particular taking a look at our SLICE students. Next, please, plan professional development for all of grade 5 teachers, reading specialists, and L teachers regarding language acquisition with Landmark, Gail Lovett, and also the Director of Special Education. Attended the Special Olympics game in Wilmington. Attended the town hall meeting regarding the budget. We'll attend the scholarship luncheon tomorrow for BPS students hosted by Merrimack Valley Superintendent Association with the superintendent, the principal of Burlington High School, and the director of Family and Community Engagement. Attended the Math Olympia. This was past Saturday. Attended Vector training with the Vector team. And moving on, when it comes to our computer literacy and computer programming, the library team attended the 2024 Massachusetts School Library Association Conference. That department has met with the Apple education team regarding augmented reality in education, the Vision Pro devices. Again, I want to thank the digital learning coaches such as Mrs. O'Leary, Mrs. Meyer, and Mr. Donoff for leading lessons with all students in grade 3 through 5 at Memorial Elementary School using VR headsets. Again, want to thank Mrs. Ardizzoni and Ms. Meyer for putting together some Scratch Junior programming for our Memorial second grade students. And again, Memorial third grade students worked with Mrs. Meyer, Mrs. York, the art teacher, to create an elemental movie character in art, and library students created a green screen of each student describing the character. Next, please. As you saw in the earlier picture, Memorial students met with author Rob Boya for an all-group assembly to learn more about how one of their favorite authors became an author. And this is not, but this is right off Hot the Press. I want to give a shout out to Paula over out there in the middle school for writing her book recently that we'll be getting. You guys will get it hot off the press. She wrote a book about celebrating her Cambodian New Year, and it's been a children's book, and that happens to be one of our teachers, and you will all get a copy when it comes off the press. Again, meetings and classroom observations with Dr. Gail Lovett, reading specialist, met to discuss the use of the literacy review, the new grade 4 through 5 phonics screener data, decodable purchase for the 24-25 school year. Next, please. Summer curriculum planning, shift in model to include interventionists, summer curriculum maps updated to include foundations, reading to rise in both kindergarten and grade 1. Completed the English MCAS assessments in grades 3, 4, and 5. And the interim literacy coach sent out the science of reading slides for educators K through 5, the April edition. Next slide, please. The LPAC meeting that was held on May 6th. Really, a lot of folks attended that one. We had folks from the Recreation Department present summer programs. The team included, again, our Director of Family and Community Engagement, Janelle Reynolds, Rebecca Farm, Christy Concession, Maylee Castro, Karen Hoyt, Catherine Wells, Ms. Basserman, Karen Kim, Stephanie Diazzo, Lauren Angela, and Brooke Anderson facilitated feedback activity of families to learn more about what we're doing well and what we can do to welcome our new families into our schools. They have told us that they really have enjoyed Parent Square and understanding a lot of things that are occurring in our community, but they wish to have a little bit just more opportunities to meet with teachers to discuss their children's academic progress. They're looking for more enrichment opportunities in math, reading, especially during the summer months, and we're working on that, and more opportunities for extracurricular activities, including sports. And this is the families wanting to have more information on that. Next, please. As you saw earlier in the slide, that young person climbing up the ropes course, that was a student who soared to new heights, exploring the outdoor ropes course that we have from the Simon Youth Academy. Also celebrated winners from the March Madness tournament with the Golden Gigi created by Leroy Wong, Dennis Villano, Fadine Satterell, and Francis Fattel at MSMS. Next, please, with the Math Olympiad, just to let you know that 18 teams from Middlesex area completed. We had teams all the way from Rhode Island come and compete with us. It was a math competition for grades 4, 5, and 6. Our elementary schools entered 16 teams. Memorial placed 4th overall. And give a great shout out to Frank Show, a 4th grader from Memorial who received the highest achievement award in math for 4th grade. Researched universal screeners, diagnostic and progress monitoring tools with a math specialist. And again, the lead math coach started the spring talk group on building thinking classrooms in mathematics. Next, please. Kindness Month is underway. BPS and Help Us engaged in a partnership there. The STRONG, which is the Supporting Transition, Resilience, and Newcomer Groups training, went underway for school counseling staff, ESL staff, and also staff as well too. BYFS staff, social emotional learning, Wayfinder books have arrived. In science, the 2nd grade habitat investigation field trips are underway at the Burlington Reservoirs. STAR Lab, it's making its final rounds for grade 5 students investigating Earth's place in the universe. And the butterfly houses were distributed to both grades K and 4. Next, please. And this is always exciting when we incorporate our high school students to work with our elementary school students. So the high school students from the South Asian Student Association and the African American Student Association visited grade 4 Pine Glen and Francis Wyman students as part of the Elementary Student Migration and Movement Unit. Mr. Musselman is also coordinating the summer program with summer program coordinator Nicole Mandela on fully integrating, again, robotics into the summer enrichment program. And this was quite a success last year, and so they're putting it again this year, and the kids absolutely loved it last year. MCAS testing is underway on May 20th and 21st. The next slide, please. As you saw, the young man, that was Henry Boulanger, who finished his Eagle Scout project late this winter in collaboration with the Science Center. His project was installing a new fence and gate around our large bird of prey enclosure outside the Science Center and high school. He also designed and built a hutch for materials barrels and a new gate for the outdoor tortoise enclosure. Kindergarten screening is underway for all incoming students. We're going to continue on training with Vector. We rolled out the new IEP as mandated by DESE. Next, please. Also, Unified Basketball has begun. Students are having a blast and are doing well. A great special thanks to Dr. Bonnie Nichols and Sean Hart for coaching these amazing athletes. Lab Special Olympics was also on Friday, April 26th. We had a great showing of Burlington students. We really want to give a shout out to Wegmans because they donated the cost of all of our special education t-shirts for the Wilmington-Burlington event on May 10th. And again, special thanks to Special Olympics coordinator Kristen DeMarco and also to Christina Ciccolini. Burlington's middle school team, they went out for a little jog to support the Bionic Project, and special education teachers are receiving training from Alan Bloom on the new IEP on data collection, goal writing, and accommodations versus modifications. And when I've popped into those trainings, the feedback that I receive is they really get quite a lot out from this gentleman from Alan Bloom, that he really delivers the stuff in a way that makes it very understandable for all of our staff members. Next, please. With regard to family and community engagement, our director worked closely with the housing families, state staff to support the McKinney-Vento families, and Nicole Kosh on grant resources, supported Francis Wyman and the BECC to help families in most needs, collaborated and attended community events to continue partnerships such as the Help Us fundraiser, the Food Pantry, the Council on Aging, the Welcome Alliance, and the Welcome Alliance Clinic and Woburn partnerships, and again collaborated with the communication team to support family access to community resources. Next, in business and the finance team, Nicole Kosh and her team explored electronic payment platforms for implementation with the communication team, continue to set up implementation for absence and substitute management software with vendor and HR. And this is going to be very exciting because next year we're going to go to, it's going to be electronic. It's no longer going to be necessarily just calling up people. It's going to be, we're going to get absence, our substitutes through some sort of software. This is going to be exciting. They worked on preparing the town meeting backup on the school committee's adopted budget for fiscal year 25. Met with also the business and finance team with Director of Family and Community Engagement to discuss ongoing plans for multiple grants. Next, please. The business and finance team met with the Director of Child Care Services to review program budgets and other administrative businesses. Next, on the communications team, the one-woman show. She's working hard at work, met with administrators to look into Vector solutions, getting ready to roll out the new forms, organization, troubleshooting Vector platforms. She also attended the PD training with us. She's worked with the Director of Health and Physical Education to send out information for the first ever grade 5 district-wide track meet that's going to occur with all 4 elementary schools. It's going to be very exciting. She's worked with John Middleton Cox to send posts and forms for performing arts and the BEST summer programming, helped with the BPS field trip and after-school forms, and has continued to work on the district website redesign. And next, please. Also planned and hung Francis Wyman Elementary Spring Art Showcases, and has really done an outstanding job because she's been worked both as an art teacher and also have assisted us with regards to communication. Next, please. Our Human Resources team conducted the screening process and interviews for the role of the DEI instructional coach at the high school. Represented Burlington Public Schools at the MARC Educators Job Fair at Boston University. Worked with the BPS leaders to present our final project on the teacher diversification program. Has begun the planning process for the MS principal recruitment. And she also formulated the schedule and also reached out to the MS community for additional input. Continued training on the new absence and substitute management program. Next, please. The nursing team planned medical services for Special Olympics, prepared and edited medical plans, emergency forms, and standing orders for the following year. Completed some data entry for kindergarten students, ordered supplies for the upcoming school years, and helped prepare for summer school and the hiring of nurses in the summer school program. Next, please, in the operations team with Director Bob Kuna. He and his team did asbestos training, provided custodians and maintenance, prepared rainwater system, installed a safety net at Memorial, continued negotiations with custodians, clerical, and cafeteria employees. Met with the architect, the middle school, to prepare for upcoming projects, attended Ways and Means to discuss warrant article request, and met with the field engineer to explore options for the varsity baseball field. And our technology team next worked on 405 tickets serviced as of the month of April. Next, please. And specifically, the Director of Technology attended the cybersecurity training conferences, have also worked on replacement devices for students, offered support for continuous MCAS state testing, completed the Apple Deployment Success Pilot Program, and tested a new IT management tool for the district-wide use to enhance support services for both staff and students. And finally, in our last picture, just pulling it all the wonderful events that shows that we are a community, we're one team, one family, and we really care about every individual here, and we just want to ensure that all students and all staff feel welcomed and that they're continuing to learn, that there's equity, and they're continuing to thrive. Thank you. Is there any questions or any follow-up? Yes, sir.
Just a couple quick questions because we went through it real quick. For the curriculum review, I know we had hit on this a little bit for literacy. Is there time in the schedule for students that require accommodations? So as we've spoken about in a few meetings where some folks need their work in a digital format, PDF that they can do pull-down menus and stuff like that. Have we caged any time for that in the curriculum review to assist those students?
Yeah, or we'll take a look at that. We'll definitely take a look at that. And thank you so much, Mr. Brooks, for reminding me, because what you have also done is reminding me that I also need to do a more couple of updates once you're done with this, with regard to the math where we are, with regard to the literacy where we are, with regard to the L review where we are, and also where we are with John Elmroad. Are there any questions that I could answer?
Or about the Verizon account, what were the outputs from that? Is it merging the account to bring it up to district for economy of scale, or was it just a service level contract that we were looking at?
So, Mr. Kudo, could you kindly give us more details with us, sir?
Yeah, thank you, through the chair. So myself and Peg Allegretto in my office, we did a yearly review with Verizon for the numerous phones and hotspots that we have for staff and students. It's really just to go over those, make sure if there are any upgrades available, if we can reduce any prices on the contracts that we have, or take any devices out of service. We did take some devices out of service. We did restructure the contract to reduce some costs. So ultimately, that is the situation with that. We did get some upgraded devices as well, too, so we're distributing those to staff.
Yeah, I'm all about it. You said the words I need to hear, reduce costs.
Any other questions or comments, please? Devin?
I just want to say, so you had on there, but to talk about it. And after our little brief demonstration of the show, I did my
Yes.
tickets that night, and I went with my daughter, and I really enjoyed it. So I just wanted to say kudos to everybody.
And they did an excellent job. I still do not know how that young man was able to perform on his knees all night. That must have been very hard. He must have had big knee pads, is all I gotta say.
Anyone else?
Madam Chair, just again, I think you'll get used to some of the acronyms, but SLIFE is an acronym that we use oftentimes, and that's Students with Limited or Interrupted Formal Education. So a lot of our newcomers are considered SLIFE students if they come in. And one of, I guess, my policy frustrations is they, as they're promoting all of these the school performance data, they tend not to look at the number of SLIFE students that each high school has. So you can imagine that population is our most at-risk population, and they also add, again, a tremendous amount, I think, of positive experiences, culture, and diversity to the high school as well. So it's a challenge educationally, but I think it's one of the things that I think makes Burlington High School such a special place. McKinney-Vento was mentioned. That's a federal program. Students have access to public schools if they live within the boundaries of the community, but they also have access if they're declared homeless, and McKinney-Vento is the homeless regulation that we have to follow. So if a student moves out of Burlington because of being homeless and has moved to a different town, that town is obligated to transport that student back to Burlington Public Schools if that's what they choose, or they can attend school in the town in which they're relocated. And by the same token, if families are relocated into Burlington, then we have to offer those children admission here as well. So we'll talk a little bit more about that today. The custodians were mentioned. Bob, you said that the custodians ratified the contract today. So certainly want to thank them and Bob for all the time that they put in. And on your next agenda, there'll be an opportunity for you to review the tentative agreement and hopefully vote to support that moving forward. So I'm not sure if you want to add anything.
Yeah, if I could just add, also wanted to mention Nicole Kosher as well too in the negotiations as well was a big part. So not just myself.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, before we move on to the superintendent evaluation forms, this agenda is a little different from what it used to be. We used to have new business and old business, and we don't really have that anymore. So I have something that would have been new business, but I'm going to try to bring it up here. I actually have two things. One of them doesn't really fit here. I'm just going to blurt it out, and that is people are upset with the buses because they're not showing up sometimes, and a driver might be missing, and I just hope we can get on that and deal with it so that people are happier. All right, the other thing I wanted to bring up is educational. And after a bunch of comments that I heard about how we didn't make the top 100 in U.S. News and World Reports, I had a conversation actually with one of my daughters. She told me that a lot of colleges care so much about getting the rankings. And my three daughters all went to Holy Cross, and she said that at Holy Cross they used to get the criteria, and every year they went out of their way to meet the criteria, and when they met it and they were therefore in the category, they were all excited and celebrated and all of that. And so I was wondering if we could possibly look at what the criteria is. Is it something that's as simple as we don't offer enough AP courses, or we don't offer enough, I don't know, clubs, or I don't know what the criteria is, but I wondered if I could ask that we look at that, because if it's something that's easily adapted in order for us to meet the criteria, I think it would make a lot of people in Burlington very proud and very happy. So this is just something I wanted to bring up.
Okay.
All right?
Sure.
Could I comment on the buses?
Yeah, sure.
I know we were at the Special Olympics and we delayed the entire ceremony by an hour because our buses were late, and sent the wrong buses. It was embarrassing. What kind of recourse, and Nicole's on the phone, do we have any recourse for the remainder of this contract? I assume no. And my question is, do we start September 1st on the new contract? Or,
Nicole, go ahead.
she's got her hand up, but I think she's muted.
Nicole, you can unmute yourself, please.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so under the current contract that goes through June 30th, we don't have anything that gives us sort of monetary recourse for those instances. But for the new contract that we are hoping to start on July 1, we did build in some penalties that recoup costs for the district on behalf of the vendor for those instances. So hopefully that will give some incentive for the vendor to correct those instances.
Megan?
I have a question about, thank you, where does that money go? Does it go to a revolving account? Like, I'm really hoping our buses show up and we don't have to, be receiving any funds from the bus company, but if there is an incident and we do recoup funds, where does that money go?
Through the chair, so those would be likely a credit back to the bill, so it would just be a reduction of our operating expenditure.
Thank you.
Nicole, I'm glad that that's built in. I worry that if it was a situation where we were asking penalties for buses running a little bit late, that we might have a problem with speeding buses trying not to be late, and I don't want that. But recently, we had a couple of days when evidently a driver wasn't available, didn't show up, whatever, and it was really a major problem for parents on those bus routes. And I'm wondering, do you know if other communities have already got that in? Like, are they sending the drivers to the communities with the most difficult contracts, or is everybody in the same boat?
I don't have information on whether or not, drivers are being sent to those other communities. I mean, I can ask around amongst my colleagues to see, but I don't have that information.
Okay, thanks. Does anyone have anything else? Go
I
ahead.
believe the language is they start the route late, so it's not like if the route runs late, they'll be penalized and they have to speed
Okay.
up, but if the driver doesn't show or they're late to work and they start the route late, the first route, so like we understand that like the subsequent ones may be running late within the town, but there shouldn't be speeding from stop to stop. It's the starting of the route.
Okay, good. Jeremy?
So 2 points on that. I'd asked earlier when we first kind of engaged on the bus communication, have we formally codified a process for that notification? Who at each school is empowered to send those notifications over Parent Square? And is there any integration with the GPS tracking that will alert us and give us more timely communication, right? Because I think the crux of the issue with parents is, it's great you tell me it's late, but when you tell me it's 20 minutes late, 25 minutes after it's late, that's not useful information, right? So how are we going to communicate in a timely manner, and what process are we codifying to do that, right? And then the other one I wanted to touch on was the rankings. Again, I think I'm going to renew my call again for more time on learning. I know we took a deliberate call for shifting some of the program around to do other things. I think we need to really look at that and look at time on learning and take a very hard look at that as well to improve the scores, because I think that's really the feedback I'm hearing is MCAS scores, and I know that's not the best metric, but it's the one we got, right? So we would work with what we got.
I want to point out that I had this conversation with someone the other day who was really surprised to hear this, wasn't aware of it. The MCAS scores don't actually test kids. The MCAS scores test how well the curriculum is delivered. So we want the curriculum delivered well, obviously, and the scores to be good, but I just want to point out that those tests are not really testing the kids, they're testing the curriculum. Is there anything else before we move on to the...
Can I just clarify my last statement too? I'm not saying we need to do away with SEL, just look at how we're delivering it and how it's affecting, the impacts it's having as we figure out how we're going to fit it in the day.
Right. Okay, superintendent evaluation forms discussion. Would that be you, Eric?
Again, you all have the forms. Typically, it's a state process. I'm evaluated annually and in public, so the last meeting of the year is typically when we do that. So that is June.
Something or other. Late June.
25th, I believe, is when the last meeting is. You'll all submit the forms to the chair. The chair compiles it into a sort of a single document, and we move forward. I also have a thought exchange out to the community and to staff and to students, and that will close in a week or so, and then I'll share those results with you all as well. So there's, I think, hope lots of information or enough for you to make a determination. The state has 4 standards for all educators, including superintendents, so it would be, your comments would be in those areas, but I'd welcome any feedback that you would have. So it's a bit of a scripted process, but that's what the state sort of requires.
So I'll just make a couple of comments about it. Generally, a new member does not evaluate the superintendent. However, last year, I know Jeremy wanted to and did. So Megan, it's completely up to you. I know you've been watching and listening, so if you feel that you want to do the evaluation, go ahead. The best advice I ever got was about the superintendent's evaluation was a long time ago when it might have been Tom Murphy. I'm not sure who said it, but the advice I got was if you have an issue with someone, the best way to address it is in person with that individual rather than flame throwing in public. And I just wanted to pass that on, that I have always found that to be, in my own personal situation, that has always been the way that I've successfully handled things that I'm worried about. And that doesn't mean that you shouldn't put whatever you think, whatever you feel in the evaluation. You definitely should. And if you get them all compiled and get them to me, I get them all written and get them to me, I will do the compilation. I will add that it is not fun. It's a lot of work. You have to kind of transcribe the goals and do a certain amount of work in evaluating them. So it's not something I look forward to each year because it's work. But good luck to everyone, and I hope we have a successful evaluation.
I just have one operational question. Last year we had a Word document. I could probably hunt for it. Marianne, do you have your finger? Do you know, like, we got the PDF. I feel like last year there was an editable version.
I can.
Okay. I can look, or we can. We'll all look. Okay.
We'll get that to you.
All right.
I've never been able to figure it out. I've always had to do it by hand.
I kicked out a Word version last year to my email.
All right,
Okay,
somebody will show me
somebody
how
give
to
it
do
to
it.
us, yeah.
The Department of Ed has both versions, so
All right.
we'll get you the Word version.
We'll have a how-to-do evaluations class. Okay, anything else on that topic? Facilities and finance. finance report update. That would be Nicole, right?
It is, Madam Chair, it is, and Nicole is sort of with us remotely. You have the monthly financial report in your packet. So again, Nicole, is there anything remarkable in the financial report?
No, all of our accounts are in good standing, no significant changes from the prior month, and no concerns at this time.
Questions? I have one. Nicole, how's the cafeteria school lunch money looking compared to what you were expecting?
It looks like right now, Witchens is on track to fulfill their obligation under the contract, but monitoring that on a month-to-month basis.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else have any questions? Go ahead.
I have a
Megan.
follow-up question, thank you for Nicole. So when we switched to universal free lunch, did our reimbursement rate change? Well, I'm wondering if there was a jump or any significant change during those two periods.
Just so I understand what you're asking, so like the reimbursement rate that we receive per meal changed, is that what you're asking?
Yes.
Yes, it did. I don't have those exact figures in front of me, but I can get them to you.
Did it go up or down?
Up.
Good. We like that.
Yeah, if you could send that would be great. Thanks, Nicole.
Of course.
Anyone else? Well, that was quick. Fox Hill Building Committee update. Melissa?
I don't think we've had a meeting since our last meeting. Again, June 12th is our community meeting. We had some handouts at town meeting. We will have the picture, the drawings, and the handouts again tomorrow night, but June 12th is the update for the community.
Okay, thank you. Eric, you have anything to add?
No, just the people at town meeting I spoke to, I think, were responding positively to the pictures and to the
Good.
Material, to the Fox Hill material. So I think we'll start to generate some excitement.
I hope so. Sounds good. The VHS Building Committee, Catherine?
No, I mean, we met, and what's the next meeting? June next meeting?
Is there a meeting this week already?
No, we just had one.
Coming soon, a vision planning.
There you
I was looking at, I was trying to look it up on my calendar here.
They had a
That's every month. Date.
You can find that, but there was a visioning meeting very similar to the visioning meetings that we started with Fox Hill. So high school had lots of staff represented, high school leadership represented, and also members from the VECC. So it was, again, a well-attended visioning session, and there are going to be 3. 2 are going to be in person, and 1 is going to be remote. So those are underway.
Is there any hope on SBA?
Again, Bob, we submitted, and the timing is usually right before winter break. They give it to you Friday afternoon or whatever the last day of school is prior to winter break. They sort of let you know. So.
Yeah, correct, through the chair. So we did submit for the VHS as a priority for us. It is in the core program, not accelerated repair, and typically we see a response, good or bad, roughly around the December timeframe. So we'll know more prior to winter break.
Do we have any understanding of, there must be other districts where they're not overcrowded, because a lot of old schools were built when the enrollment was higher. Do any of them get funding? Because the buildings, I mean, I know our building's in good shape, and maybe that's to our detriment when we try to get help, but is there any other community that we know of that, even without an overcrowding situation, has gotten SBA help?
I'm sure there are. We can get some examples. But I would say this is just more of funding available, and We've hosted, I think 2 or 3 times, the MSBA board and team and executive director. They've said that our proposal is was well done. They said the need is clear. I think you were at a lot of those meetings.
Yeah.
We toured the building. They said this is a perfect MSBA project. We just don't have the funding for it. So if there's 95 projects submitted and they can fund 10, then that's sort of the challenge. And if there are some large projects being, again, all the projects are large now. I wish they would say there are smaller projects, but there are none. They're sort of running out of funding. So I'm not sure there's any part of the application that we would change to make it more attractive. We've talked to our OPM. We've talked to folks who sort of work with MSBA all the time. Again, I think they say our application covers all the bases. It's strong, it's well aligned.
But we're not overcrowded.
But it's just a matter of the amount of money that they have available. Bob, I'm not sure. I mean, that's the feedback that we've gotten.
Again, that's the feedback that I have received as well too. I think there's a couple of things that are in our factor. We have a large space. We have some double gyms, double cafeterias, and some partners in this building as well too. So that may be part of the conversation. That's never been confirmed. I know talking with our OPM and designers, that was something that they brought to my attention, as we're all aware of. But that being said, MSBA has not officially given us anything in writing saying that this is the reason why you've been turned down or why you've not been approved into the project line. So we really just have to keep either trying or continue on our own path to fund the project.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Go ahead, Ken.
No, I was just going to say the next date of the meeting is June 13th at 6:30. So put that out there.
Okay. So Pine Glen, we got some nice warrant articles passed last night for Pine Glen. Would you like to talk about them?
Sure. So I think with the committee's suggestion that we reintroduce the Pine Glen air conditioning project at January town meeting, I think that really helped with the conversation in May. I think people were expecting the sort of what we said would happen, what the ask was. So I think that was went rather smoothly, and looking forward to have that building with both heat pumps and air conditioning as soon as possible. And then the fencing, right? So I think that's a safety issue. So we're going to continue to maintain our buildings. I know there's lots of discussion about sort of Pine Glen and the high school, but I think it's very important that our buildings continue to be updated and maintained as we move forward.
Jeremy?
Madam Chair, missed a portion of my update with the rec. Brendan was evaluating the mulch. I'm going to follow up and find out if it was to depth. He believes it was. I just haven't followed up.
It isn't. It's still a problem. I got a message today. It needs to be 12 inches deep, and I know that sounds like an awful lot of mulch, but that's what the state requires.
Yeah, I just want to let you know. I hadn't forgotten. I just hadn't followed up yet.
Thank you. Anything else on Pine Glen? Okay, so is there anything else to come before the committee in public session? If not, we have need for executive session. Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, Subsection 3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining. If an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the district, and the chair so declares. I do. We will return to public session only for purposes of adjournment. May I have a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Mr. Brooks?
Aye.
Mrs. Massardo?
Aye.
Mrs. Nevoychik?
Yes.
Mrs. Bond?
Aye.
The chair votes aye. We are now in executive session.